a bright green Boss from the Brothers Collection right now. The 1970 Mustang was mildly restyled from the 69 version. The most notable elements that changed were the nose. For 70, Ford went to a 2-headlight system instead of the 4-headlight system that they had before. On the outside, where the 2 outer headlights used to be, are now simulated scoops. They redesigned the rear of the car a little bit as well. The tail panel no longer has the concave cutout. It's been flattened out a little bit. But the reason we're looking at this car is that this is a 1970 Boss 302, which is a special version of the 1970 Mustang. It took a lot of money, time, talent, and engineering to make a Mustang perform in Trans Am racing. But Ford did a lot of the homework for you when they started selling these Boss 302s. The Boss 302 was the street derivative version of the Trans Am race car. And to be legal in Trans Am, the manufacturers had to make a certain number of street-going versions of the same car to be legal for competition. So they came up with the Boss 302, and the reason for the 302 is the Trans Am race organization had a 305 cubic inch limit on the size of engines you could race. So Ford came up with a combination to build the 302. And a Boss 302 engine is pretty special. It starts with a 4-bolt main block that's been reinforced. It's got special cylinder heads that were high-flowing under an aluminum intake manifold. For 1970, they shrunk the intake and exhaust valves just a hair to give it a little better throttle response, but it still has the 780 CFM carburetor, and it still has dual exhaust, but for 70, a slightly different muffler design. Overall, they say these made 290 horsepower, but they certainly were a fun, high-revving car to drive. The other part of what made a Boss 302 so special is the way these cars handled. They had a special suspension system consisting of different springs, a front sway bar, a rear sway bar for 1970, disc brakes, quick ratio steering, and 15 by 7-inch wheels. This one is wearing the Magnum 500 wheels, which were actually an option for 1970. With all the performance parts installed under the hood and that trick suspension, the Ford engineers wanted to make sure this car looked racy as well. And that fastback design of the 1970 Mustang is kind of racy on its own, but they added a whole bunch of cool elements to the Boss 302. The first one that you'll notice is this car is painted in grabber green. There were a handful of grabber colors available from Ford from 1970, and these were grabber blue, grabber orange, and the green we see here. Only 352 of the Boss 302s were painted in grabber green. Some people might think it's a bit much, but I really like the satin black louvers, deck lid, wing, and tail pan, especially against this color green. Inside, a Boss 302 Mustang can be all business, or you could get some luxury options as well. All 1970 Mustangs now featured the high back bucket seats. This car has the classic Mustang dual pod dashboard with full instrumentation in front of the driver. And when the driver reaches down, for 70, he grabs a Hurst shifter handle. That was different for 69. In 1970, all Boss 302s were 4-speeds, and for 1970, that 4-speed became a Hurst shifter. And this car really isn't wearing very many options, because the Boss 302 is more about performance than it is comfort. The Brothers Collection is home to several 69 and 70 Boss 302s, and for good reason. They're very collectible cars, and although they're not the most rare, they are a pretty low production. For 1970, there was only 7,013 Boss 302s made. You know, it's pretty cool to see today a lot of people are modifying their muscle cars to corner flatter, stop quicker, and handle better, using a lot of the same tricks that Ford put into this Mustang all those years ago. If you're out racing around on the internet, make sure you make MuscleCarOfTheWeek.com a pit stop. Not only do we have videos there, but you can sign up for our newsletter, and we've got our YouTube and Facebook outlets so you can leave your comments, because we have a lot more cars coming to you from the Brothers Collection next time on Muscle Car of the Week.